right. So Harry's gonna start some music, I imagine, and then we'll get started. Got a few
All
minutes.
right, all right. How are you?
It's nice to see you.
You too, you too.
Oh, we're live in a living color right now, so
Oh,
yeah, so be careful.
my producer is funny. Yeah, so he don't want me to cuss. Don't say bad words. Okay. So Harry, I can get started. Am I starting?
Yeah, you're good. And by the way, the music that that I was playing that we came in on was Ro Goodwin. She's a local artist.
Oh, yes, a local artist.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful. Thank you. All right, everybody. I'm so used to the music coming in, Harry. Woo! Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second hour of LoveBabz, Love Talk. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. I've been talking about Shanyse Strickland all week. Well, since I met her. I've been talking about her since I met her at the New Haven Symphony Orchestra concerts at the Canal Boathouse. That was about a couple of weeks ago. And I met her because she was commissioned to compose a piece for the horns. I remember all of this. And I saw this beautiful sister step out there to talk about this piece that she composed. And then they played it. And I was like, whoa! So I had to go talk to her after the concert, and I did. And found out she's from Jersey. And I read your bio, a little bit of your bio, Shanyse, before you came on, like in my first set. And then I read a little more of your bio. Girl, you was with the Ohio players.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I was playing trombone and flute for them with Billy Beck. It was crazy.
Oh my God. And so how long have you been a musician?
I've been playing instruments since I was 9 years old.
So your parents were like, here, take this, go play an instrument.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've always had a personal connection to music. You know, my mom was a big Prince fan. So I was just always, listening to him, Shaka Khan, Parliament, like just the funky, just like that 70s to 80s era all the time.
Yeah.
And
So,
I wanted to emulate the music with instruments, though, outside of me singing.
wow. And you sing too, I understand.
I do.
So is anybody else in your family musical like you?
Well, okay, so one of my older cousins, Dominique, he is a baritone. He has his master's degree in vocal performance. Okay. And he was actually the one that inspired me to actually start playing instruments. But he kind of went into the vocal direction like later on.
Okay, so you're 9 years old, you're playing instruments. What's your first instrument that you learned how to play?
My first instrument was the flute, actually. I was a flute player. Okay. Yeah. Everybody in my class played clarinet, and I had to be that different person that played a different instrument. So I picked up the flute, and it was not easy at the beginning. Let me tell you. I mean, shout out to my mom because she had to hear some horrible sounds coming from my bedroom every day. Like it was rough. But flute is just like, almost like riding a bike. Like you fall a couple times, you get off, and then once you get on, it's like cake. It's easy.
Okay. So you play the flute. Are you in bands in school? Did your school have a band? Because you're from Ohio originally.
Yes, I'm from Akron, Ohio. But I actually just got out of school. I was going to Montclair State University, but I graduated a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your master's, or is this the one, the art certification, or which
it's
one?
The artist diploma. So I have my master's already, but this is like a postgraduate degree.
Yeah. Yay. All right, so you play the flute, you play a bunch of instruments.
I do. Really just like woodwind and brass. I mean, anybody will tell you like everything's connected, it's like Spanish and English. I always compare music in languages. It's like, tomato, it's all the same thing.
Okay, so you learn instruments, you read music, and then you say, okay, I could arrange some stuff. I can compose some stuff. When did that come about?
When I was in high school, I was just like, jack of all trades kind of person. And that's when I really started developing the relationships with the different instruments, not just flute or French horn like I was playing in middle school. And so, I'm experimenting. I picked up the trumpet, I picked up the tuba, the trombone. I was starting to get into jazz, so I wanted to play trombone. And then I mixed that with some flutes and clarinet. And so I'm, learning basically, like I said earlier, the languages of these instruments. And so we had a marching band that I was in. It was like kind of like a swing band, like we played pop music and rock and roll and stuff. But, that music was boring. So I'm like, I want to play what's on the radio. I want to play some Lil Wayne. I want to play, like Ariana Grande. Like, I wanted to play pop music that was current. And I knew that it would make a connection for the, the people at the football games. And, I got even more friends when I started arranging this music. So just for me learning the instruments and then going into actually write music for it, that's when I started arranging. Wow. I was probably, I think, my sophomore year of high school.
Wow. That's incredible. So, so you're doing all of this, you're making friends, you're the cool girl on campus, right?
Yep.
Because people love band folks, and so you're the cool girl on campus. When did you know that this was what you wanted to pursue for your career, for a living?
Oh, well, like I said, my mom is a lover of music, but she's not a musician necessarily. So music is honestly the main thing that I'm good at. I've always had a natural connection to it. I've always, going through solo and ensemble contests when I was in middle school and throughout high school, getting excellent scores. So I'm like, okay, this is something that I can like actually do. So I just decided to pursue it as a college career. All of my band directors and teachers always encouraged me to, push forward with it because they thought that I had a lot of talent. And I'm like, of course, the big question about money came up, and it's like, all right, you're going to be that struggling musician, like trying to, make ends meet and stuff like that. But that was the last thing I was worried about because I was confident in my talent. I knew it was going to take me somewhere. Mm-hmm. And look where I'm at now. I just had the New Haven Symphony Horn Quartet play my piece. So, hey. Yeah, glad I stuck with it.
So how did they find you?
So Kyle Hoyt, he is the fourth horn player of the New Haven Symphony. And, they were putting on a chamber music concert and he was like, so, hey, you got any horn quartets? And I kind of told you, the story.
I love the way these musicians talk. So you got any horn,
Yeah, it's just like
any horn arrangements laying around the crib.
Right, it's just like, you got any, because he knows that I was, I'm a composer and arranger because I do a lot of covers of music. But honestly, something he doesn't know is that usually those arrangements are impromptu. Like, I'm not really writing those things down. It takes too much time. I just kind of have the parts in my head. I spend all day recording and, doing that kind of thing. So Kyle didn't know that, that was my process for the covers. So he just asked, do you have any horn quartets laying around? And I was just like, of course. And that's the thing, like I said at the premiere, is that, Kyle is a very straight edge kind of person. And so it wasn't that he was intimidating, but it's just like, this is like a top tier horn player. Like, he's a freelancer in New York. So it's just like, if he asks you if you have something, you say yes. And it better be good, and it better be like on time, if not early, you know what I mean? And so literally, I think he asked me, he texted me like Monday night, and then I had the piece in a week later, the following Monday, because that was my deadline. And so, I mean,
wow, that's a short turnaround.
Yeah, right, just 1 week. And that's the thing, he said, like, do you have anything that you've already done? I mean, like, that was basically done. And I was like, yeah, I'm finishing something up. I didn't have nothing done. I didn't have nothing started. I didn't know what the name of the piece was. I didn't know nothing at all.
I love this story.
So I'm just like, what am I? I mean, but then that's the thing. Like, I mean, honestly, like, the music just kind of comes out of me. I know that I had to write a horn quartet, and just based off the way that I was feeling that day, I'm like, you know what? I want to write a piece that's about the different moods and feelings that people experience. And so I just got to it.
See, that's genius level talent.
Thank you.
I know you've heard this, right? Like, I know people have said genius level talent. Clearly.
Honestly, that's the first time I've heard that specifically, the genius part. I mean, I've heard other things like, maestro and things like that, but that's kind of that's a high compliment. Thank you.
No, that's it. And to see you step out looking beautiful and fabulous, I thought, who is that sister, right? Because we don't often see us in these spaces,
Yes.
And so, and you're a young sister, right? Like you're young, no shade to you or anything, but you're a young sister, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yes, yeah, and you say I'm young, but see, I'm turning the dirty 30 next month.
Oh, girl, and please, I've got handbags older than you.
Everybody says that, and I'm like, but all my millennials, they feel me right now. They know what I'm going through. It's like July 15th. That's it.
Oh, well,
happy
birthday.
Thank you.
So,
yes.
so how are you? How is your musical career going through this pandemic?
Honestly, it has been how can I say this? I've never been in a position where I only had the choice to rely on my music for income. I've always upheld a administrative and financial side to my career. So, I've worked in banks and been a personal banker and things of that nature. But, the banks were closed. I mean, at the time I was working at a law firm. I was an administrative assistant there, and I got laid off because of the pandemic. And so it's just like, what are you going to do? And I thought about the people that don't have, this side hustle, if you will, like I do. And I'm just like, I don't know how they survived, but that was the one thing that I could rely on. I mean, the opportunities for me just started honestly coming out of nowhere. I mean, I was doing master classes. That was my main thing, master classes over Zoom. I did a few at the University of Illinois. There were a bunch of my old colleagues from like high school that wanted, with all the political things that was happening during the pandemic, the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, the call for representation was really at a high point. And so, my friends are like, hey, I've always known you to be a good musician, but you're also a Black woman. And I want my kids at home to see an example of what that looks like, of a Black woman having a high, sense of artistry and also playing things that they enjoy to listen to, outside of classical music. And so that was something that honestly just helped me support myself throughout the entire pandemic, is like speaking to people, like just like I'm speaking to you about my story, playing for them a little bit and things like that. But just really getting everything that about me is I'm a non-traditional French horn player. And so again, like people didn't have a choice but to tap into different talents that they had. Some people did like, recording. And they were a friend of mine, he's an audio engineer. And so he was making money that way. But the French horn players didn't have the symphony. They didn't have Broadway. And so it's like you're sitting at home waiting on unemployment. It's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It was a high demand for me to kind of speak to people. And I was just doing a lot of inspiring, honestly, because people are just like, I don't know where my career is going to go at this point. The pandemic has wiped out all of the venues and everything like that. I don't even want to play my horn anymore. And so I kind of provided something that's like, hey, like you can play fun things on your horn though, and it'll improve your classical playing too. So I was doing a lot of that over the pandemic.
Wow. So is there a opportunity? Do you think you go further in music education? Like, do you become Dr. Strickland? Like, or, like, I know you're about to turn 30. You can't even think about these things, but I mean, do you become Dr. Strickland? Do you set your sights on academia? Do you set your sights on the Philharmonic somewhere or orchestra somewhere, or like what is do you give thought to your career trajectory and what you want to do next?
Absolutely. So Dr. Strickland is definitely in the works, but Honestly, I've been going to school literally all my life at this point.
I know, girl, I know.
And I know some people go straight through, because I definitely do want to get my doctorates, at least because both of my degrees are in performance, but I would like to get a doctorate in performance and then be able to teach at the collegiate level. But for right now, that's not happening. I need a little break, a little break from school, and honestly, just a chance to further explore what I was doing during the pandemic, which is doing a lot of recording, doing a lot of track work, holding these master classes where I can reach, people who look like us and, younger kids and stuff like that. So to answer your question more, so it's me going into academia, but in a different way, not necessarily going straight into school and me getting my doctorate. And as far as the orchestra is concerned, that it used to be a passion and a goal of mine, but honestly, the vibe and the elitism of classical music turned me off a lot. And it's something that I want to change. That's why I'm trying to, present myself as a horn player that definitely loves and respects classical music, but we can do other things that are more, I would say, that can connect to other communities more, just because the elitism of classical music can be a turnoff, honestly. Like you said, you're not used to seeing people who look like me that are in the orchestra at all. So it's just like I have an overall goal of connecting people to classical music, Black people to classical music, Black people, and kind of everything that I've grown up with classical music. That's why I said my piece Moves is like classical pop music, because it gives you a sense of, the style and everything of classical music, but at the same time, it's something that you can bob your head to. So I feel like it's relatable on both sides,
Yes. So tell me about the Color of Music Festival, because I know about this festival. It's all Black people playing classical music. And
yes.
Part of
it was one of
like that's got to be
it was
something
one of the most
to
amazing.
See. Tell me about that.
I mean, it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had, honestly. My friend, Van Parker, he's a freelancer in the Cleveland area. He was the one that, it's kind of like word of mouth kind of thing. You don't audition. It's like based off of who you know. But so many times, I mean, literally since I've been 9, I've participated in honors orchestras and things like that. I'm always the one person of color that's in that orchestra, every time. And I mean, you learn to thrive in those situations. It wasn't the worst situation to be in, but at the same time, it's just like to not see at least one other person that looks like you, you don't get to have conversation and talk after the concert. And it's just, there's always a disconnect. So for me to be at the Color of Music and just see all these beautiful shades of brown, I mean, oh my goodness. It's everybody of African descent. So, there were Latinas there, like there were just people of a bunch of different demographics, but all relating to the African descent part. And it was just it was a different experience. We contain that, professionalism of classical music and what it demands. But at the same time, every now and then the conductor would crack a joke. Everybody would bust into laughter. Everybody's like patting each other on the back. We're talking about where we're going to get dinner after. I mean, like just the overall social construct of being in that situation particularly was just something that it's something I'm never going to forget. And I feel like there should be many more orchestras that are like that, and I'm not saying that it has to be all Black, but just a mixture of a bunch of different cultures, because that's really what our country is made up of, but what the music represents in whole. It's not just, old German composers that make classical music what it is. Those German composers borrowed styles from different cultures and different places all over the world to make up what they actually call classical music, or Africa. Contemporary music.
They took from Africa.
absolutely. So it's just like let our orchestras reflect that, though. You know what I mean? That's what it should be reflecting.
Yes. And when I saw that in your bio, I was like, because I've been wanting to go to one of those concerts since I heard about it. They're out of
Yes.
South Carolina, but they do them in
Yes.
DC and they do them, I think, Tennessee or somewhere.
In Pittsburgh.
Yes. So I'm gonna try to get to one day. I don't care if I have to go to South Carolina. I used to live in South Carolina, so I can get there. But that kind of thing. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing, and just to actually see somebody that I getting to know play with that caliber of musician. It's just an amazing sort of thing, and it goes a long way with showing. I mean, we were playing classical music during enslavement time, so
yeah. Exactly.
So this is really our music too.
It is. Absolutely. And there are so many African American or just honestly just Black composers that existed during the classical eras that are just not mentioned.
So 2019 Heisman Trophy performer. What was that? Now I don't know anybody who would say Heisman Trophy in classical music. I don't even know if that's in the same conversation, but clearly it is because you performed.
Yes. Leslie Bonner, she's a trumpet player for Beyonce. She did Coachella with her and everything. She's a good friend of mine. I met her in Pittsburgh, and she was like, hey, so they need a French horn player that can improv, and you're literally the only person that I know that could do that. So are you available for this gig? And I was like, yeah. I mean, it was at the PlayStation Theater down in Manhattan, and it was awesome. I was actually reading music. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, it's so interesting how my career has led me to this point, because I never thought that I would even get a call for a jazz French horn player. It just doesn't even sound, you know what I mean? I'm just like, what? But that's exactly what it was. I had to be able to know how to read, which I'm classically trained, so I do. But then also, he wanted to put a little stank on it. So I had to, improvise.
I played with the higher players, so yeah, I could do that.
Right, exactly. Yes. It was amazing. And it was like my TV debut, I got real cute. It was nice. It was awesome.
Yes. So do you create an album or EP? Do you work on that? Do you do that? Can you think about that? Or is that a goal or?
It is definitely, because I write my own music, like I said, I sing, I play flute, and I'm doing the horn thing too. So it's been a journey trying to figure out the technology and everything, at this point, people produce their own albums. So that's a skill that I'm always working on, because I do want to release something that's just like, my own original music outside of my compositions.
Listen, if Lizzo can break out her flute in a concert and make it funky and pop, and I mean, seriously, I was like, whoa, that says a lot.
Yes. And see, that's the thing. The flute is just so, I feel like it's just aesthetically pleasing to the ear for a lot of people. But the French horn, it's like, okay, you kind of have to get used to just the color of the sound. So what I'm trying to do now is make it, like you said, make it groovy pop. I have things on YouTube where I'll give examples of that, but me solidifying it in an EP, like you said, is going to be my next project that I'm working on.
No, that would be fun. I'd love to see what you do. I would love to see what you do. Now, would you
yes.
Are you thinking about, I'll write my own music, or I'll cover some popular thing, or and show people this can exist in this world too? And like, how do you approach it? How do you think about it?
Well, I write my own music, so I do have my own original music, but I think that it is also important, like you said, to also cover songs that already exist out there and then put my own little spin on it. And that's what I've been doing a lot, like on my Instagram and on my YouTube channel. I do a lot of covers. Like I did a Brandy cover of her song Best Friend from back in the day, things like that. A Prototype from Andre 3000's album, things like that. So
all right, so tell me about your Instagram. What is your Instagram?
My Instagram it's SNSTRICK09, and that's it. It's SNStrick09. That's my Instagram. And that has all of my videos. I do a bunch of covers with a bunch of different artists. From hip hop to R&B to pop music. I'm actually working on a country music cover right now that I'm going to be releasing soon.
Country music is hot right now, and I'm seeing more and more Black people. I mean, another thing, country music is Black music,
yes,
and we are just coming back around to it.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Ray Charles. He was always a big fan of country music. Just like, but yeah, so I'm working on a lot of those, just like my own covers of, arrangements and things like that.
So do you like where your career is going right now? I mean, as we are coming, at least we're starting to look like we're coming through the pandemic a little bit. Things are opening up. Venues are kind of opening up a little bit, limited. Do you like the way your career is going at this point?
I do. I mean, like, I was thinking about moving out of Jersey once I graduated because, it's really expensive. But the opportunities that I've been afforded since I've been here, I mean, they're not matched by any other place that I've lived in. So I like the direction that it's going in. I'm getting more and more opportunities for commission work for original pieces. Now that people know that I've been like actually composing music and everything, that's the thing. Classical musicians have a hunger for like new music and not the Beethoven, the Bach, the, Berlioz. They don't want all that stuff. They're just like, I want something new. So right now I'm working on an original composition for French horn, flute, piano, and electronics. So there'll be a backing track to it, to the actual classical music that'll be played over it.
Wow, that's incredible. So do you sleep, drink, think music all the time?
Absolutely. From the second I wake up, I am humming some kind of tune, whether it be something new that I'm going to write down and put on paper, or it's something that a song has been stuck in my head every day. That's just me.
So before the pandemic, when you go to concerts, what kind of concerts do you go to? Like, I know you just don't go to classical concerts. I know you have to go to those kinds of things, but what do you prefer to go to, or not prefer? What do you like to go to?
Ooh, see, so that's hard. I was gonna say I like to go to jam sessions, but then sometimes I have like the urge to want to get up there and start jamming with them, Well,
when you go to jam sessions, shouldn't you bring an instrument just in case you could jump on?
Right. But sometimes I like to just go listen, just take it all in. And honestly, that's where I learned a lot from, my own improv, is just listening to the greats get up there and do it. Okay. So, I mean, outside of like the jam sessions, I like going to pop music concerts. I like seeing local artists, when I'm not studying scores and like studying Beethoven scores, I listen to a lot of trap music.
Oh my Lord. Well, you know what? You are a millennial, so trap music is in your... It's I
know. Please don't judge, but I'll make it better by saying this.
I'm not judging you. I think it makes you very well rounded that you listen to a little trap music.
You got to, and honestly, it is a little, because there's only so much I can hear. Like it's a little bit too much for me. So then after I've heard like 2 or 3 tracks of that, I'll go to my Anita, listen to a little DeBarge. Like that's more of my vibe. That's more of my vibe.
Your mama did you right.
Listen, I thank her every day. I'm like, thank you for this gift. Thank you.
She put some greats in front of you, in your ear.
Absolutely.
So that is amazing. So what would you tell young people who are in high school bands right now? Like, I have a nephew who just graduated high school, and he played. Now he's like 6'5" or some old thing, 6'6". He never played basketball. He was a musician always. Like, he just didn't want to play basketball because he was like, just because I'm tall doesn't mean I have to play basketball. So absolutely. He plays instruments. I think he plays the French horn is a big thing, right? He plays something big.
It's like, no, I mean, he might play the tuba. Is it like a lower instrument? Because the French horn isn't that big. Yeah. It's like medium size.
But he loves it. He plays in a jazz band, plays in the marching band, then he
Probably
plays in some
trombone.
other citywide thing. And
Mm-hmm,
and he loves it. I mean, he just loves it. And I encouraged him to consider going to school, college, where he could, learn more about playing, and he's considering it. But I don't think he thinks of it as a real career. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he sees it as something he can do.
Yeah, see, and I mean, honestly, it's one of those things, it's all what you make it. You know, you have to understand, and I know that being classically trained, it kind of drill this into you that, you're only going to get as far as you work. So the possibilities are endless. And something that I want the youth to know is that if you are in a band or, whatever ensemble you may be in that involves reading music, again, the possibilities are endless. I mean, look at me. I'm playing hip hop and R&B on my French horn. Just because you have a Western European instrument that started in one place doesn't mean that it has to end in that place. And that's the other thing, technology is such a big thing with us today. I mean, I have a student, he's 13 and he plays the trumpet and he's really into video games. And he's 13 and he's making his own arrangements of the video game music that he listens to and playing it on the trumpet. And it's helping him play trumpet. So I'm a very non-traditional teacher. I like to, go after what the person likes. Because honestly, if you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to get any better at it.
Right.
Right. So it's just like, the possibilities are endless. And as far as the money part, I mean, like people getting their hair done, people needing doctors, people are always going to need music all the time. So if you commit to it and your heart is in it and you have something to say with it and you know what that is and you focus on that thing, the money will come. It always does.
So if you could play with anybody or any orchestra or anything, do you think about that? Like, the dream is, I wish, and then
yes. Oh my gosh. I wish that I would be able to be a soloist in front of my own orchestra, my own all Black orchestra. Ooh. And but tour with this orchestra. So we wouldn't be able to get the whole orchestra on stage, but like a little chamber orchestra, the whole nine, and have that, but also have a rhythm section too. So it's not just the orchestra, but we got the drums, I have a horn section. And so again, it's just, I'm all about combining.
Okay, you sounded like James Brown now.
See, but it's just combining the two worlds. It's just having this classical music element and then having some super funky, a rhythm section. I've also been in a situation where there were African drums too. It was absolutely amazing. It was a string quartet and a very peculiar horn section. Like we had bassoon and oboe, but then I was playing French horn and it was all jazz. And then we had African drums, and then we also had a drummer and a bass player. So it was you get elements of Black American music, and then you have African music, and you have Western European music too, all in one entity.
Wow.
That was so amazing.
Wow, that's a good. I don't even want to call that a dream. It's just a matter of time before you pull that off, right?
Listen, I'm trying to make it happen as soon as possible.
Yes. So now, do you hang out with other musicians?
I do all the time. My partner's a musician, and then all my friends.
That's right. She plays the drums.
Yes, she does. Yep.
Now, does she play professionally in places? Is she gigging too?
Not yet. I'm trying to get her to that place, but that's the thing. Something that I really appreciate about her is that she enjoys the music. And when you're a classical musician or just when you're a professional musician, sometimes it's it's hard to enjoy it because it's no, we got to get this part right. It has to but she just plays. And I mean, she's very serious about it because she's a competitive person. She wants to be good, like everybody does. But I appreciate the fact that she could just let go with stuff. She's like, oh, you're always everything has to be so particular and this note and that was out of tune and all this other stuff. She's just play. And I'm like, okay.
No, baby, this is my bread and butter. This is how we pay rent.
Right. No, literally, I told her, I'm like, no, this has to be right. She's like, I understand. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. So, so how often does your mama get to see you play?
Well, I'm an only child, and so she was very upset when I told her I was moving to Jersey, because she's all the way in Ohio. Okay. And I got my grad degree in Pittsburgh, so she's like, okay, 2.5 hours, that's not bad. I can drive that, that's fine. But she's like, Shanyse, you're moving to Jersey, like New Jersey? Hours for me. And I'm just like, but it's close to New York. I'll have more opportunities there. So she struggles with it. But I send her, she's big with YouTube and Facebook and stuff. So I send her everything. She's always the first person that gets my completed music before anybody else hears it. I'll send her something. I'm like, I'm about to post this. What do you think? And she'll call me, FaceTiming. Her face is beet red and she's just crying. She's just like, you're so good. I was like, I am, yeah. I mean, and I'm the only child, so it's just like at this point, I'm like, hey, 30 years in, I just expect it at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, girl. Yes. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I have been looking forward to this conversation ever since I met you. I've enjoyed it so much. I'm going to stay in touch because I want to know how your career is going. I want to know if you play anywhere remotely close to the tri-state area. I could come see you. If you come back to Connecticut, let me know. I'm gonna try to tell those symphony people, y'all need to bring her back.
Yes, yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let her write something again and bring her back. And not just for Black History Month, just bring her back. So.
Yeah, exactly. More than just February. Come on.
That's right. She needs to work those other months too. So thank you, Shanyse. This has been my absolute pleasure to talk to you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great. This is so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm glad you enjoyed it because I certainly enjoyed this. It was just like me and you talking, girl. I love it. So.
Right? I love it.
Well, God bless you and good luck on all the things and everything. Say hi to your wonderful girlfriend for me. Tell her I said hi.
I shall.
And I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one, y'all.
Too. Oh,
all right. Bye-bye. So great.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, this is how my week ends. Yay!
Yes.
Ends on a high note. All right, Harry. I guess it's time for us to go on out the door. It's Friday. So I'll see y'all next week. I will be on the green for the International Festival of Arts and Ideas. So if you know me and see me, come up and say hi. If not, I'll see y'all back on Monday. Thank you, Harry, for a great week. Y'all enjoy the weekend.